morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, March 17, 2022. Time is 6 a.m. The special meeting of the following will come to order. The Victorville City Council and the same council also sitting as the Victorville Library Board of Trustees, Southern California Logistics Rail Authority, Southern California Logistics Airport Authority, successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency, the City as Housing Assets successor, Joint Powers Financing Authority, Victorville Water District, and Madam Clerk, will you kindly take the roll?
Councilmember Becerra.
Here.
Councilmember Gomez.
Buenos dias.
Mayor Pro Tem Irving.
Present.
Mayor Jones.
Here. So thank you. We have a quorum. And as I understand, we have no one scheduled to do the invocation. I'm going to go ahead and lead us in prayer. And then Captain Wickham, you'll lead us in the pledge following that. Thank you. So everyone, if you're able, please stand. Bow your heads if you'd like to. Dear Lord, we thank you so much for this glorious day that you've given us. And we come to you as your humble servants, seeking that you would impart to us a wisdom. We do ask for it. And Father, we learned so much from your word about how we are to live our lives and how we are to love one another. And I'm reminded of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, that we all know love is patient, love is kind. But it also says that it isn't rude, it isn't self-seeking, it isn't easily angered, and it doesn't keep an account of wrongdoing. So Father, as you've seen us in the past few days, and especially the other night, it was so difficult for all of us, and I'm sure members of staff and audience, so difficult for us in one way or another. And I pray, Lord, that you would, as always, be patient with our failings, but that you would help us today to keep the eternal perspective, and that we would rule and make decisions based on your perfect will for our city, because we do know that you have a plan for our good and not harm. We pray that you would be with us and that your name would be glorified in all of our words and actions. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, Captain Wickham. All right, Madam Clerk, will you kindly present the agenda and any revisions thereto?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The revision to the agenda is the addition of the staff report and backup correspondence that is at the dais and was sent out last night.
All right, thank you very much. And now we're going to move on to conflict of interest declarations. Any conflicts, members?
No, ma'am.
Hearing, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and move on to the introduction to public comments. Madam Clerk, do we have requests to speak?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
All right, so, well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the meeting of our City Council. We are interested in your ideas and opinions, and furthermore endeavor to incorporate them into our deliberations. At the same time, the council must be able to carry out its business in an organized and efficient manner, free from material disruption. Therefore, this meeting will be administered in accordance with our established policies and procedures and Government Code Section 54957.9. All testimony during this meeting is limited to items posted on the agenda and must be directed solely to the council. Individual speakers may address the council once per public comment period and once per each public hearing item for up to 3 minutes. Additional time may be allocated for appeal hearings in accordance with the city's adopted policy and procedures manual. Although open meeting laws do not permit council members to engage in dialogue with any speaker during the public comment periods, please know your comments and questions may be taken into consideration by council members when discussing the particular agenda item. The presiding officer may briefly respond or have staff respond to statements or questions, or may request that the staff report back to the council at a subsequent meeting. Speakers are requested to comment as briefly as the subject permits. Individual council members who speak as a member of the public do so without the semblance or presumption of authority derived from her public office and are subject to the same meeting rules of conduct and decorum as other public participants. whether attending this meeting in person or via Zoom. Once comments are invited, the speaker will be called on by name, then recognized by the presiding officer. The speaker will state the item number that will be addressed. Audience members may not disrupt, disturb, or otherwise impede the orderly conduct of this meeting, and those who do are subject to removal from the meeting pursuant to Penal Code 403. Your understanding and cooperation are appreciated. And again, everyone, thank you for showing up so early in the morning. We really do appreciate it. Your council appreciates your strong interest in our community and your care and concern for our community. All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call our first speaker from the in chambers?
Roger LaPlante.
Good morning, Mr. LaPlante. Welcome.
Morning. Madam Mayor, Victorville City Council, thank you for letting me speak this morning, bright and early. They always said in the Army, up in the morning before the break of dawn. We get more work done before 9 o'clock, so use this as an example. But anyway, I'm a former homelessness task force member for the city of Victorville. I'm a city of Victorville resident. What I saw the other night on city council absolutely shocked me. And I apologize if I have anything to do with that no vote. I know I give certain members, a hard time. It's politics. We need to put the nose to the grindstone when it comes to issues like this. It's so important that we keep and maintain a place for veterans. I'll give you a little story. I started the point in time count several years ago. And I went down to the river bottom, and I couldn't believe what I saw down there. It made me get emotional. I met a guy down there. His name was Joe. He was a fellow 101st Airborne Division soldier that served in Vietnam. And he lived on an old mattress down here on the riverbed. And it shocked me. And then I found out there was ways to volunteer to try to help some of these guys, girls down here. They're all citizens of this country and they deserve better. And it's just important that we maximize our opportunities that we have for our homeless individuals. I've been homeless before. It's no joke. You can't do anything. You're paralyzed. And when you have nobody to help you, you have nobody to speak for you, it's evil. And please don't let this injustice happen. We've worked too hard. The task forces worked too hard. The cities worked too hard to let this slide. I'm a resident of the city of Victorville. If you need somebody to vote yes on this wellness center, I'm here. I will not run for city council. I will not run for city council, but I will welcome an appointment to get this done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. LaPlante. Madam Clerk.
Our next speaker is Valentin Godina.
Mr. Godina, welcome. It's been a while.
Yes, it has. Very interesting surprise to have to be here at 6 o'clock in the morning to watch what my council members are doing. And this is a very awful sneak attack for having a meeting this early in the morning. Not that it bothers me, but it's out of character and it's very wicked. Now, this issue of a wellness center is not something new. Why is it now being presented as, oh my God, we need this? We've needed this for a long time and you've known about it. You've had millions and millions of dollars in your pockets to take care of it. Why are you waking us up at 6 o'clock in the morning? Because you haven't done your job in all these years. Also on the agenda, the surprise agenda, was that you were going to talk about placing somebody in the missing seat, which you people caused. And we told you, we don't want you to appoint anybody. That is our job as the voters to elect that person. What part of you do not appoint anybody to represent us did you not understand the first time it was brought up? We, the voters, have the right to elect somebody in that seat. You told us it costs too much, $200,000 for a special election. We're only a couple of months away of having that done without a special election. Why are you bringing stuff up like that now at this time? What are you scared of? That you've done your job incorrectly and now the voters are gonna let you know how upset they are? That is reason for concern for you. And I hope you do something to correct that wrong, because the voters will. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Godina. We appreciate you, Madam Clerk.
Andrea Knight.
Welcome, Ms. Knight.
Six o'clock is really early.
It is.
Sorry. I wrote something to you guys, so I just wanted to speak on it real quick. Sorry. I have to read it. Okay, so I'm Andrea Weezer Knight, and I'm writing to you because I'm a longtime resident of this. I grew up, was born at George Air Force Base, and I'm from here. I'm a voter as well, and usually don't speak at these events, but something was said yesterday that kind of upset me. Councilmember Gomez had made a statement that all of a sudden we're here now that there's money. I am one of the subcontractors for the CM that's being proposed on this. And we're not just here, we've been here for a long time. This is just the fortunate time for us to actually get, for me to work up here. And it's something I'm passionate in. I know we have a homeless problem because I see it every day. I see it at the riverbed. I see it on the street corners. I see it down in the Victorville Union bus station behind them. I see the tents. So it's not something we don't know, we don't see. We don't have to announce what we do, what I do behind what I do on my Sundays and my Saturdays. Okay, I'm not trying to get emotional, sorry. What you guys did not talk about yesterday, what this project actually is. So it's not just a shelter, it's a wellness center. I've been to a lot of conferences this last 2 years, working with City of Hope and the different hospitals out there in our industry. This one is the first time in the San Bernardino County that this is being put in motion. It's more of a home for them. It's a place for them to get medical help and mental help, because that's our biggest issue, not putting them in the prison systems or punish them for being homeless, actually taking an approach to fix the situation. And I don't know if you guys know this, but there's even a dog kennel at this place. I don't know if you see these homeless on the street, they have their dogs, and that is a big reason why they don't go into the homeless shelters. We're actually adding this to our building out there. So I just wanted to take the moment. I don't know if you guys have read what's actually going to happen out there, but this is going to be an amazing project and everybody's looking at us. I talked to so many people in our industry outside of Victorville, from Sacramento down. They're all watching to see how this works because they want to bring this to their cities as well. So I just want to make sure we do a good job and that this actually happens. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Knight. Madam Clerk.
There are no additional.
Yes, I
in-person-
would also like to speak as a member of the public.
Yes, thank you. If you'll make your way to the podium. Welcome, Ms. Gomez.
I don't know if my life was just
Ms.
threatened, but
Gomez, you will address the council.
so
Ms.
that right now, the captain and
Ms.
both of
Gomez,
you realize that I just heard a threat from
Madam
somewhere in front right here.
Mike,
Just
thank you. Ms. Gomez. Ms. Gomez. Ms. Gomez, you will follow the rules of decorum or you will come back to the dais. Ms. Gomez does not give the chair directions. Ms. Gomez does not give the chair directions. Madam Clerk, you can turn the mic on. We'll give her one opportunity to.
my time continues and you haven't stopped it. Okay, so now that the mayor has allowed me to speak, I'm gonna go ahead and say that I have publicly put everything so that my public realizes that nothing is behind closed doors. I spend here that public meeting just after midnight when I saw a lot of secreted moves between a lot of the department head teams that was in the management. And all that is on recording on my Facebook, because everything I do is always allowed to be seen by everyone through the eyes of my camera. It's really interesting because nobody touches the fact that there's a municipal code that was elected by the people and the residents of Victorville. The residents of Victorville do not represent 5 people who speak here. It's 130,000 people. I don't know how many of you went out and were talking to labor yesterday or the day before. I don't know how many of you were also communicating with Sacramento to understand the processes that are taking right now place here in Victorville with our administration. But a lot of members that I spoke with who are sitting council members, it does not take 6 months for the bidding process to take place. So I don't know what Victorville is doing to do that delay, but it's not any member's fault when the administration brings something that their deadline pushes for 4 people out of 130,000 members who elected and entrusted that we would continue doing competitive bidding processes in the city of Victorville. It was not put out for the general public to do a bidding process. This is $28 million. It's called fiscal prudency. I do not vote for something that will not allow for the democratic process with a small d, mind you, so you know what I'm talking about. $28 million, $4.8 million would be going out to someone who has come up here as a subcontractor saying that is in their vested interest. Of course it is. $4.8 million. I have heard up here from labor saying that there's practices that come up with this particular general contractors and they're not good. And we were hoping, quote unquote, that they were good, or else we would have heard complaints from those people working, being paid under the table and so forth. Fiscal prudency is important. Accountability. I will keep you guys on your toes and accountable, staff, all the time. Ensure that. From Councilwoman Blanca Gomez. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gomez. Madam Clerk,
Our next speaker is Mary Ann State.
thank you. Good evening and welcome again. Good morning. My goodness, it's dark outside. Yes, ma'am.
Now, I've listened to all of this, and the city of Victorville, they do have what you call the Brown Act, right? That means one compliant body, and everyone really should exercise what you were called to your seat to do. And when others are listening to the rhetoric, it's very confusing to people that can't process it. Now, there is a homeless situation and it is being addressed. They are addressing homeless situations for the veterans as well as for civilians that are homeless also in Victorville. There are new opportunities that are coming to Victorville. I paid attention to the meeting of the logistic airport, and they're making something that looks like a donut. It's going to look like a donut shape, right? But I see many grand opportunities coming to Victorville. And we have brilliant people that are sitting here that can walk and chew gum at the same time. So you have funds that are coming to Victorville. I'm sure that our council members are educated enough and our sheriff's department educated enough to vet what's going on. And yes, we do need a new sheriff department. And yes, we do need $100 million for our sheriff's department. And yes, we do need the monies, everything that's coming in, and nothing is for free. Okay, nothing's for free. Now, this is called, I believe that this is part of the Build Back Better plan. If it's not, it's part of the American Rescue Plan. So I also hope that they are hearing us from Washington, D.C. in order, from President Joe Biden to Vice President Kamala Harris, all the way down to our Governor Gavin Newsom and our local officials that are right up here in Victorville. It doesn't matter whether you are red, whether you are blue, or whether you are green or purple. Leadership is what matters. Embracing others is what matters. I was telling this young gentleman next to me that God loves us all. We are all his children. I'm not a respecter of persons. When I look at a person, I look at an individual, whether you're homeless or not. And I've helped the homeless people myself. If they walk up to me and they ask me for a meal, I can't do what you all can do, but if they ask me for a meal, I will purchase them a meal. I sure will. So I just beseech you to love one another, to walk in love and respect one another, to not talk at one another, to talk with each other. Amen. In Jesus' name. Have a great day.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam Clerk?
There are no additional in-chamber speakers.
All right, with that said, we're going to conclude the public comment period in chambers. We're going to move to our Zoom speakers. Do we have any requests?
Yes, Madam Mayor, our first speaker is Ralph Brown.
Good morning, Mr. Brown. Welcome. Mr. Brown, we're showing you.
Can you hear
Are
me?
you with us? We can. Thank you and welcome. Yes.
Okay, are these contractors family, friends, or kickbacks? Kickback make the greedy make bad decisions. You get 10 million for a remodel library, 10 million grant. That was immediately done, what, 2 days ago? And you're complaining about 28 million that it needs to be justified and quickly done by these special meetings. 10 million grant that the deficit of federal governments that the taxpayers have to pay it back. You say it's a grant, but if grants aren't free, the federal government, it gets deducted by us still. So don't even think it's free money because it's not. Okay, 10 million granted for a library. Are these contractors family or friends or kickbacks that make the greedy make bad decisions? If agendas that were voted and did not get passed, like the one that just got passed, but it was done, close, and then another one got passed, and you, the blonde, went and got the other one, the brunette, and Bersetta, and told her, hey, you know what? Gomez voted against me. Come and vote with me so we can go ahead and get it resolutionized for me to get passed. Oh, yeah, great. Teamwork, high five. 10 million grant that the deficit of federal government said the taxpayers have to pay back. Why in a hurry if it's 28 million? 10 million granted for a library. Are these okay, I said that. Let's see. If agendas that were voted and did not pass, then we can pull up the agendas of antitrust, taxes, misappropriation of agendas of the past, like $200,000 for a fence, $80,000 to see if you needed a raise for the city. Come on. Taking will be able to get other conflicting overinflated agendas at Veterans Association. How many Veterans Associations do we have in the state, the country? You're making bum dumping a city that you want to grow. You want to be the city that has bum dumping. They could be serial killers. They may be veterans. They could be rapists. We don't know these people. You don't go and talk to them and tell them, hey, who are you? Let's get a profile on every homeless person and put it to the voters and see who these people really are. Oh, what? You have a home? You live somewhere? Oh, yeah, it's just extra money. Sure. Okay, that's great. Now, if these agendas you're taking from hospitals, you're taking from Veterans Association or mental wards, there's systems already in place. Hospitals, you want to take the mental wards because they don't have Medi-Cal or can't apply, and you don't have a group that goes and gets them and says, hey, there's homeless shelters. We even have a homeless shelter that we paid $1 million emergency fund for the one on First Street. There's homeless shelters already. Why do you want to build another one? Do you have contractors or something that you get a big bonus? Because 28 million is not enough. What's going to happen for the following year?
Your time is up.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. We appreciate your candor. Madam Clerk?
There are no additional speakers, Madam Mayor.
All right, with that said,
Mayor, before you close public comment, I'm requesting that the city clerk read off the names of everybody in public comment.
Yes.
who Wrote into us, just the names, not the letters.
yes.
If she would, please.
Yes, please.
Certainly. Give me just 1 second.
I have a point of order. This has never done historically. Is there a purpose for this, or is this in line with what's happening? I just wanted clarification.
Mayor,
Sure.
if I may.
One moment. So as to your point of order, it's not well taken as there's been no breach in policy. It's within the purview of the presiding officer to grant a reasonable request from a colleague. Member Becerra.
It's just to let people know along with everybody who woke up this early and to be with us, all these people took time out of their day to also support us with this homeless shelter. So if she would.
Yes.
So we have a public comment from High Desert Homeless Services. Women of Noble Character. Victor Valley Rescue Mission. A Better Way, Victor Valley Domestic Violence. Simba Center. Inland Empire Health Plan, Searchlight Society, Housing Authority of the County of San Bernardino, Hilltop Geotechnical and Quarry Engineering, Paul Marsh, and Ms. Knight.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And just for clarification, again, thank you to everyone who was able to make it here this morning. This was a subject of a lot of discussion the other night as to when we could have this special meeting. And we ended up with this time because we had to accommodate work schedule. So we do understand that it's a push for all of us, and we do appreciate it. So with that, Madam Clerk, will you kindly set the timer for 30 seconds in case we have any other Zoom members that would like to speak and might be having technical difficulties?
We do have an additional Zoom speaker,
Yes, ma'am.
Karima Abdul.
Welcome, Ms. Abdul.
Hi, good morning. I don't know if you can hear me. You guys are kind of breaking up on my end.
We can hear you. Welcome.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So my thing is, what a travesty it is that this is at 6 a.m. when the residents of Victorville are going to work. They're getting their coffee, their donuts, they're waking up. Their city council people are ruling on their behalf. So as they say, democracy dies in darkness, and it is still dark out there. So I am talking about the form of this meeting, and I am concerned that we have more special meetings than I've seen in Adelanto, Hesperia, or Apple Valley, far more than outer lying cities. So my question is, when does it stop? When do we decide to allow the residents of Victorville to have a voice at the city council meetings? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Abdul. And Mr. Metzler, this agenda was posted according to the requirements of the Brown Act
In fact,
for
it was.
transparency.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, Madam Clerk.
Our next speaker is Basil Kimbrew.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Kimbrew. Welcome.
Good morning, Mayor and group. I'll just be very quick and to the point. First of all, I support my veteran buddy, Roger. I think Roger has said it all for us in regards to the homeless and that whole situation. Two, on behalf of my Bishop David Denson, over in our district, I support my councilwoman, Becerra. She's done an outstanding job for us. So Councilwoman, I just want you to know that. I too have been homeless, and all you guys know my history, so I don't even need to go into that. I just think that everybody just needs to do the right thing when it comes to the homeless, because Roger can tell you it is a nightmare when you're homeless. And again, I have asked several people, Mayor, I think I've asked you before too, you guys should come out one night. And in fact, you know what, Roger? We should take them out one night and let them sleep overnight. Let them go out into the streets, and so they can feel what it is like being homeless. And then I think that some people would fully understand. And the final issue that I want to talk about is, please vote no on on this appointment. I mean, we work very hard to try to get districts, and the city had an opportunity within 60 days to appoint or have the election. And now all of a sudden you want to have an appointment. I think that's just totally wrong. I think that's the will against the people. And I don't even know why. Oh, I'm looking for my time. Good, I got a minute left. I don't even know why that you would want to do that. So I just want to say, please vote no on this appointment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kimbrew. Madam Clerk.
Our next speaker is Galaxy A12.
Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and Council. This is Maggie Martin. It is early. Listen, unfortunately, I was having massive troubles with logging into Zoom, so I missed the first 26 minutes of the meeting, so I have no clue what's going on. But get the impression from the little bit I did hear that there've been some really good public comments. I logged on. I got on in the middle of Mr. Brown's rant. So I want to address a couple of things. One of them is I could not believe last Tuesday night's meeting and what an unmitigated disaster, absolute, chaotic, unprofessional, no excuses for, couldn't find one if you wanted to, disaster of a meeting that was. And the behavior of some of the members on that council, this is not good, ladies. This is not good. It's not professional. It's not how you're supposed to act and represent. And I'm not talking about all four of you. I'm talking about two of you, and you know which two you are. This is when everybody was praising about having an all-female council. That wasn't my thoughts. My thoughts lean more along the line, excuse me, of emotional outburst and the things that I've seen witnessed so far. So I'm going to leave that part and go to this part. This part is Tuesday night, Ms. Gomez. The meeting was the meeting was
Ms. Martin,
going.
will you kindly address your comments to the full of the council?
Actually, I am, Madam Mayor. I hesitated because I was. It didn't sound in the right context.
Thank you.
Thank you. The problem seemed to be towards the end that things were going too rapidly for Councilmember Gomez to process, and I was having difficulty with that too. I really was, and but then the defense that I heard for her voting no, which just totally goes contrary to every vote she's ever done on this, and since it became an agenda item, is the first excuse was you're not doing the bidding process correctly. And even though the council made, and the city manager and the city attorney made clear the process, it was just moving fast. And I'm not sure if she fully grasped that, but that was the first thing. And then let's do a 180. Councilmember Gomez did a 180 saying it's going to line the pockets of whomever. And I'm like, that's her go-to. That's her default, with like accusations of criminal conduct with absolutely zero proof. So there was no logic behind that I could see or that I could hear behind her no
Your
vote.
time is up.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Madam Clerk.
There are no additional speakers.
All right, with that said, will you now please set the timer for 30 seconds in the event that any member of our Zoom audience is having technical difficulties? This will afford anyone time to correct that.
Madam Mayor, 30 seconds has lapsed and there are no additional speakers.
All right, with that said, the chair closes the public comment period and brings this item back to the council. We are now going to move on to our first business in order, which is item number 1. This is the Wellness Center project, award of phase 1 construction contract by the Victorville Water District. But before I ask Mr. Metzler to introduce this item, I think it will benefit us all to fully recognize the significance of the issue before us. It has the potential to be divisive and emotionally charged, as we all saw Tuesday evening. And this is why I respectfully ask each council member and every audience member for that matter to listen carefully to the summary of this item and what each person has to offer, and to take into account differing opinions. We don't have to agree, but we do need to be respectful and considerate of one another. Thank you. With that said, Mr. Metzler, will you kindly introduce item number 1?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. At Tuesday's city council meeting, item number 18 on the agenda was dealing with the same item we are considering here, just under a different authority. More specifically, this item proposing the award of construction contract to Angeles Contractor, Inc. is being sought in your role as the Water District Board of Directors. Beyond the agency being asked to approve the item this morning, this item only differs as it is not seeking a waiver of a city bidding requirement, since the Water District can rely on state water code laws and also public contract code. A staff report summarizing our approach, relying on the Water District to be the contracting entity, was sent to you last night and is the subject of our recommended action. In advance of your deliberation this morning, however, we have also shared with you a copy of Resolution 20-091, which was adopted on August 18th, 2020, unanimously by this City Council. I'll say that again, Resolution 20-091 on August 18th, 2020 was unanimously approved by the City Council. Interestingly, and notwithstanding staff's view on Tuesday night that was seeking a waiver of our public bidding requirements in connection with the Sourcewell bidding process, staff believes such waiver was already granted. The 3-1 vote on Tuesday night was sufficient to move the Sourcewell contract forward, and the need to make a finding as recommended Tuesday night was not necessary. I recognize the confusion surrounding this item. However, one thing remains abundantly clear since first being directed down this path. Developing a homelessness solution and a wellness center campus has been and remains a priority of the City of Victorville. Accordingly, staff believes that in addition to the waiver already being granted, considering Tuesday night's confusion, approving this item as the Water District this morning can provide this item with additional defense if our actions were subjected to a challenge. Finally, independent of this morning's deliberation and possible action, staff will begin a code amendment process to fix the problems with our code that caused this original confusion. As a co-author to this item, I'll ask the city attorney if he has any further comments to add before yielding back to the mayor. I'd also like to make particular note that we do have Ms. Tamiko Gutierrez here in the audience as well, representing Sourcewell, to the extent that there's any questions regarding the bidding process that they undertook on the city's behalf. So with that, Mr. DeBortnowski, and Madam Mayor, if I might ask Mr. DeBortnowski if he has.
Yes, of course.
Thank you, Mr. Metzler, and good morning, council members. The only thing I'd add to that is there's been a lot of comment about the fact that we have avoided a bidding process. That is completely untrue. This has been a publicly bid project. It has just been bid through a different process than is provided in our municipal code. And that is why we are now going to rely on the Water District to do this. This has been a fully publicly bid project. That's what I'd like to add.
All right. Thank you, Mr. DeBornowski. Madam Clerk, will you please read the recommendation?
That the Victorville Water District Board of Directors award a construction contract to Angeles Contractor, Inc. for an initial first phase of construction in the amount of $4,827,947.76 for the Wellness Center project.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, we're going to move into technical questions for clarification as it relates to the staff report and certainly the August 2020 resolution that we have a copy of in front of us. We're going to begin this morning with Member Gomez.
Yeah, so any auditing of the process that was figured out and the way that administration is going to proceed is with the Attorney General, Mr. Bonta, is that correct? Simple yes or no would work for me.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that specifically. If there was a request for an audit, we would initiate the effort, bring somebody independently. I don't necessarily know that it would rise to the Attorney General's level.
Thank you, I appreciate it. No further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Gomez. Mayor Pro Tem Irving.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I only have one question. It looks like the item before us, because of resolution, I just need you to hook it up for me. Resolution 20-091. We didn't necessarily need a waiver because we already had one in place. In what way does approving this contract as the Water District, how does that protect it? In other words, what is the liability, or if there's any? Because as I see it, this council can move forward and award the contract. And this is, we're kind of met for nothing.
You think, thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. It's really hard to quantify the liability because I think liability always exists. Liability exists the minute you walk across the street in many respects. And so just as we considered Tuesday night's item, in and of itself has the potential for that. And of course, we have a responsibility as staff to make sure that we're following all of the legal framework, whether they're federal, state, or local codes, and then do our best to defend those to the extent challenge arises. Certainly it could have occurred just resultant from Tuesday's action had we believed or recalled that this waiver had already existed. Having created the confusion, it very well could be that the confusion in and of itself, considering now having brought to this council and its attention that the waiver had already been granted, could present a potential claim at the very least that we would have to defend. And of course, the water district in and of itself, I think there's certainly an appearance that we're trying to mask or skirt, if you will, some of the provisions of our code. And that certainly is not the case, certainly not believed by staff or legal counsel, but at the very least, relying on the water district because it is a separate legal agency, has separate legal authorities. We certainly believe that gives us just an additional belt and suspenders approach to trying to curb any potential challenges to the extent they exist. And I think largely, I'd finally say, notwithstanding the confusion, I think this process that we've gone through has given us much more opportunity to look at this probably closer than we have on any other traditional project, to the point where I think a project of this magnitude definitely deserves this level of attention. So staff certainly feels confident moving forward in either case, as the city or as the water district.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Member Becerra.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Metzler, since I've been here, we've had 2 audits. The audits that we've had that I remember, both of them has come out that we've come out, yes, no bad findings have been found, correct?
Correct. And in fact, we just recently presented an audit, and it's our second clean audit in a row.
And any and all monies that come through the city, i.e. Measure P, home grant money, and the budget itself are open to audit for the auditors, correct?
That is correct. We go through an extensive independent testing process of all of our procedures to make sure that there aren't any issues, that there aren't any misappropriation of funds, things of that nature.
And any and all bills sent, let's just say, from this project are open to the audit and open our public records, correct?
That is correct. It's entirely a public deliberative process.
Thank you very much. No further questions, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Member Becerra. All right, Mr. Metzler. So in recognizing that no council member here this morning declared any conflict of interest as it relates to either item on today's agenda, going a little bit further than that, to the best of your knowledge, do any members of your staff or any council member have personal, is related in some way by family or personal friendships or anything like that?
To my knowledge, that does not exist.
Okay. All right. And then, so as to resolution 20-091 that I have a copy of in front of me, signed and dated August 18, 2020. So the 2 council members that existed that time that are still present behind the dais when that decision was made unanimously included Council Member Gomez and myself. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, thank you. All right, so I have nothing further on this, and I invite a motion from the Victorville Water District Board of Directors.
Madam Mayor, I motion that we approve item number 1 due to staff for staff recommendation.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, we have a first by Member Becerra, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Leslie Irving. Moving on to discussion on the pending motion. Member Becerra.
No, ma'am, nothing.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Discussion.
Thank you, Member Gomez. As it relates to the motion.
Yes, so it's really interesting. Politics at its work. You see how you can maneuver and do what you just done. there's going to be a challenge. It's only obvious, but I am very happy to understand that staff can maneuver in the way that it has, because it shows me the power that an administration has to go back with its legal team to be able to ensure that any votes that are casted up here are just not typically the worth that one can have. So I'm
Member
glad that you
Gomez,
guys were able to show me that.
Member Gomez, can you
I'm
pause
so-
for just one
yeah.
moment? So I'm going to admonish the member to make sure that we're not attacking the motives
Nobody's
or
attacking
character of
it.
any
If you believe that
council
that was an
member and
attack,
staff.
you have
It's just
misinterpreted.
it's a gentle reminder to not
Okay,
go down that
well,
road.
let me
Ms. Go-
remind you
proceed.
Mayor,
that
I
what you
call for a
have
vote.
just done is what you're doing is trying to cover up what I'm trying to say. There was no admonishment and it was not well taken. So thank you very much for allowing me to finish my comment, because obviously
Hearing
there's
no member
nothing
wishing
corrupt
to
or
discuss it
dishonest
further,
with
we're
what
going
we
to,
just saw in front of
go
us with the
ahead. The question is
administration.
now
So
called.
thank you so
Madam
much for
Clerk, please
doing
take
that,
the
and
vote.
thank you. Yeah,
Councilmember
I'm glad
Becerra.
that they're able to vote and look at what you're saying. Thank you.
Councilmember Gomez,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Irving,
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes with
all saw
Councilmember
that.
Gomez
Much.
voting no.
You saw that, right?
To
I'm
staff for
glad
all
you
of the
were
hard
here
work.
to see how you
Madam,
can maneuver
excuse me,
politics.
Member Gomez has
So
not
thank
been
you, staff, for showing, and I am your
looking-
favorite, by
suspended.
the way. It was
Madam
caught on
Clerk, will you
camera.
please mute
Thank
the
you for
member's
saying-
mic? And will you keep it muted until such time that it would be appropriate for the member to speak?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. All right, moving on to, and by the way, congratulations to staff and all of everyone that put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to a very worthy project that is going to help the most vulnerable in our community. All right, moving on to item number 2. This is a consideration of an appointment to the vacant city council seat. Member Becerra, this was your request?
If I may, as I believe this item is no longer necessary, I object to its consideration. I move that it be no longer
Does the
discussion.
Does the member move the objection?
ma'am.
All right, that now is a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a first and a second. Madam Clerk, please take the vote. This is not a debatable item.
Councilmember Becerra,
Aye.
Councilmember Gomez,
Sure, happy. The motion object to consideration.
Is my microphone on? Okay, so
Yeah, will
I'm
you
sorry.
turn it
Let
on?
me let
So
me repeat, because
the
I wasn't
motion-
on. So if you don't mind clarifying, thank you.
Yes, of course. So the motion is to object to consideration of the item. It's not it has a first and a second. It's not debatable, and Madam Clerk is taking the vote.
Thank you.
can you cast your vote, please?
Can you repeat, because I'm catching up to what was going on? So if you don't mind asking the question again.
So it was to object to the consideration of the item. So it would be that we're not considering this item at this moment.
Yes, so my vote is yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Irving, Mayor Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. With that said, everyone, that concludes our business this morning. Again, thank you so much for being with us. If everyone will kindly vacate chambers within 10 minutes, that's 6:58. And again, have a blessed day and happy St. Patty's Day. This meeting is adjourned.